member of a group that calls itself the Patriotic Millionaires. He joins us now from Washington. Charlie, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. So where does the chamber have it wrong?
Well, first of all, the Chamber of Commerce has a great name, but they do not represent us, nor do they represent most business owners. The Chamber of Commerce is a lobbying organization, and Tom Donahue is the top lobbyist in that organization. He makes over $4 million a year.
Well, he does, and of course, a lot of lobbyists in Washington make a lot of money, including union lobbyists, et cetera. But the Chamber does claim to have 300,000 active members. They claim to have another 3 million members affiliated with their local group. So that's a fair number of companies.
Right, but 50 companies pay for over 50% of their budget.
Well, you know how that works. I mean, we have 4 banks in the United States that represent 60% of commercial loans. So, I mean, that's ridiculous. But specifically, what do you think about Tom Donahue's suggestions?
Well, let's talk about the taxation issue, because that is obviously the founding principle of our group. We advocate a return, the expiration of the Bush tax cuts, which we've enjoyed for the past 10 years, and they have demonstrably not created any jobs. So I think we can safely say that tax cuts do not create jobs. At the moment in Congress, we have held up the payroll tax cut. It's going to expire 6 weeks from now, and it's being held up because we cannot agree on a way to pay for it. Now, our group, as well as the President of the United States, has suggested maybe people who make over $1 million a year should help pay for that $1,000 per household average tax cut that 50 million Americans are going to lose if we don't come to agreement.
Yeah. All right. Let's just take your one tax issue here. You say that the Bush tax cuts never created any jobs. Well, the Bush tax cuts kicked in about 2001, 2002. From that period right up until the financial crisis, which was caused by a lot of different things, and we can argue that, I don't think it was caused by the tax cuts. There were a net creation of jobs. So it's not quite true if you include, of course, if you include the deep recession we were in,
certainly
that
if
it
you
was a net
include the
job
jobs
loss.
that the
But
economy
if you take
shed
the whole
at the beginning,
period, it wasn't. If you'll excuse me, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you include the jobs that the economy shed at the end of 2008 and the end of 2009, we have had a net job loss.
Right, but you have to include that, which was not necessarily caused by the tax cuts. If you include that, it was a long period. I'm just saying that it's some of, everybody, you know how statistics are and economists are. Everybody can argue a point. But let's bring it down to basics,
Let's come at it a different way, if I might.
Charlie, let me just put it in very simple language. I don't think the government, when you look at what it's done with Solyndra, when you look at how it wastes $50 billion a year on Medicare, when you look at all of the boondoggles, everything from the Defense Department to HHS, how it wastes money, I don't think it deserves another dime of our money. It's very simple. That's why I don't think taxes should go up. Go ahead.
Has any nation in history started 2 foreign wars that have gone on for over 10 years while giving tax cuts to its wealthiest citizens?
I'm talking about HHS. I'm talking about all the government programs that we have, Medicare, et cetera, in which billions of dollars are wasted.
For a second,
why should we give more money to an organization that is losing tens and hundreds of billions of dollars?
Well, I would love to talk about Medicare for a second, because it is the government's biggest so-called entitlement program, but it is what has provided a long and good quality of life to all of the elderly in this country, including the elderly who are wealthy.
But Charlie,
so
you
that
see
is
what
our
I'm
biggest
saying.
Entitlement program.
The government. Do you think that the government is a good enough institution, uses money wisely enough, so they deserve more of our hard-earned dollars?
Well, the government is us. So if you're saying that we don't handle our money well, I guess we should all be on an allowance.
The government is about 2 or 3 million bureaucrats. That's the bottom line. Do you think they're doing a good job?
Well, I live here in Washington, D.C., and many of those bureaucrats are my neighbors. And let me tell you, they are not so easy to demonize when you take your kids to the same Little League games.
Look, I grew up in Washington, D.C., Charlie. I went to those public schools
because they're carrying out the policies of a government that we elected.
I was on those Little League teams that you're talking about, so I know the scene very well down there. And I used to walk the hallways of the Department of Agriculture, all these departments, see people, just walking around. I was wondering what kind of papers they were shuffling. There's a lot of waste.
You know, when
in Medicare alone, $50 billion of waste and fraud in Medicare alone every year. Why should we throw more good money after bad?
Well, I think the Affordable Care Act is a step in the direction of cleaning up those problems.
Okay. We got to leave it at that. Charlie, it's always a pleasure to have you. Please, we don't
Thank
agree
you. I feel
on this.
very powerful now.
We don't agree on this, but it's great to have you. Please come back and see us again, all right?
Thanks.
Thank you, Charlie. Well, take a look at this. Traders in Hong Kong protesting the shortening of their lunch break from 90 minutes. They were on lunch for 90 minutes to just 1 hour. And the crowds has